Welcome, my name is Leena, and this is the podcast MoveMeant, where we're focused on changing mindsets with understanding and conversation. So, today we will be talking to you about the topic intolerance in India, and joining with me is my sister, and her name is Zaina. Zaina, introduce yourself. Say something, a fun fact about yourself.
I like junk food. You don't like junk food.
So that can be my interesting fact for today. Zaina likes junk food and Leena likes some junk food. Okay, so the topic we have for today is intolerance in India, which is kind of a controversial topic and it makes it very, very intimidating to talk about, don't you think?
I agree.
So you have to be careful, you have to feel like you need to be careful with what you say and not overstep boundaries or offend anyone. But I hope you learned something new from us today. And if you agree with us, leave a comment below. And if you disagree with us, still leave a comment below because we're all about the conversation. So let's start off with a really, really big question for two very small people, which is India intolerant? So this question has caused a lot of debate since around even 2014, and we still haven't come up with a satisfactory answer for everyone. So let's try and do that today. Okay, Zana?
Okay, let's go.
Okay. So the first question I have for Zana is what kind of intolerance is most prevalent in India in your opinion?
As a Muslim, I would say religious intolerance.
Okay, what other forms of intolerance are there around the world? Not just in India, okay? Okay, what is intolerance?
Wouldn't that be not being able to stand different beliefs, different opinions, and different ideas?
Okay. So what does an intolerant person do? In what do you think an intolerant person would act?
Without patience.
Okay, that's true. So intolerance is when you are unable to accept someone else's beliefs or views just because they're different from yours. So intolerance doesn't necessarily have to be about opinions, it can also be about physical features. So like sometimes white people cannot accept that black people and dark skinned people exist, and that makes them intolerant.
Racist.
Yes, racist. And racist is like a sub form of intolerance.
Oh.
So someone who is a racist is also someone who is intolerant. India is a very big country. So saying that everybody in India is intolerant is kind of like saying that every Indian can speak Hindi.
It's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. Like you can't say like everyone is the same.
Yeah.
So even like where the city that we come from in Hyderabad, like you see like in the same place, you'll find like certain areas where it's predominantly lived by Muslims,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's some areas that are predominantly Hindu, and then there'll be some areas that are both Hindus and Muslims living together. So there's like a very there's a split in a way of what do people in India agree on and what do they disagree on. But I think when people become really defensive and say like, oh my god, India is not intolerant, I think that's where I have a problem with. Because it's just like saying that everybody in India is intolerant.
Mm-hmm.
To say that everyone in India is tolerant is just like saying that everyone in India is intolerant. And I don't think, do you think there's a country right now that's completely tolerant?
Zero. No.
Yeah, because even if there's one person in the country, like,
Who is intolerant, then the whole country cannot be defined as a tolerant country.
exactly. So, which is why, like, this question cannot have, like, a yes or no answer. Yes, majority of the population could be one thing or another, but you can't say that the whole country is a certain way. And then you also have the issue of what makes a country a country. What do you, Zana, what do you think makes a country a country?
It's people.
But also its
Laws.
laws and the people who rule. So there are a lot of things that make a country a country. So it's land and what else?
Economic wealth.
Its wealth. So there are a lot of factors that you have to consider when you're defining what a nation is. But I think for right now, on the topic of intolerance, we can say that India is its laws and its people.
Agreed.
Like that's what majority, like most of it represents intolerance. Like you can't say wealth shows intolerance. Like that's not a factor right now.
Exactly.
So when we're talking about, let's talk about the laws and policies of India, because that's slightly more hopeful when we look at that. Have you read the Constitution of India ever?
No, I can't.
This
say
is
I
a
have.
question for everyone out there as well. If you have you read the Constitution of India, and if you haven't, I think you should read it. Zana, I recommend the Constitution of India. It's
Aren't there a lot of
articles.
articles?
Yes, but I mean, it's your country. You should know like what the constitution of your country is and what it stands for. But the Constitution of India is so beautiful. Like I think this year was the first time that I ever read it, and I was blown away because it doesn't represent the the narrative of the current country. Like you wouldn't read the constitution and say, yes, this is what India stands for and all its people stand for. Like it's very different due to the people. So the Constitution of India states that you have like religious freedom, you have the freedom to establish educational institutions that are teaching a certain religion, and you have nobody is to be discriminated against for race, religion, caste, gender, you name it. Like you cannot discriminate in India according to the constitution. And what do you think, Zana? Why do you think the Constitution of India is so perfect?
I think this is because um, before the constitution was made, Indians went through all of this, like problems caused by the discrimination and inequality.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think like when they were drafting the constitution, they wanted a better life for like generations after.
Exactly. So they went through what a sort of intolerance that we haven't gone through. Like being around 19 and you being 14, we haven't gone through such a lens of like being discriminated against because of the that we live in, but and the time that we live in. The constitution is perfect because of the history that India has been through. So it was very like they if they wanted to, they could have just, like discriminated against the British people. They could have said that no British person should be allowed to enter India, and if they do, they would not be given the rights that a normal Indian citizen would be given. But that is not the case. So, what does this tell you about the people of the time?
But they were tolerant.
And they realized that tolerance is the answer to a lot of the problems, and it could prevent us from a lot of problems in our society. But to us today, like I think we've kind of forgotten that. We've forgotten where the Constitution comes from, because I think there's this very interesting interview that I watched that was like by this YouTube channel that this person was interviewing protesters at a rally. So this protester was the person he was interviewing. He was talking about like how should India allow like people of all religions to live here, or should it just be a Hindu nation? And the person said, well, it should just be a Hindu nation. And the interviewer said that that goes against the Constitution of India. And the person said, well, then we should change the Constitution of India. And I think those are the people that I hate. Like you can say, like you You can't change the fabric of your country.
India was built on that constitution.
Exactly. Like, we wanted a nation based on those constitution, and it took a long time to come to that. And there isn't where you can want systemic change and you can want changes in policies and laws, but the constitution is something that the way it is, I believe it's untouchable right now, and it should be that way. And if it's changed, like, it could hurt a lot of people in the country.
The constitution is deeply rooted. Like it took so much hard work to get to, and like people fought so much for it, and you just want to change it based on the fact that you want a completely Hindu nation when there shouldn't be a reason for you to want that if you're free to.
Yeah, like, I don't, as a Muslim, like, I don't want India to be a Muslim nation.
Hmm. I don't either. Like
Like,
it,
there
it
are,
serves us no purpose.
yeah, like, I don't see what I would get from that.
Yeah.
I would much rather live in a country that's like a very inclusive country and includes people of different religions and everyone respects each other. That sounds better than one religion prevailing and that religion's law, you know, winning and everything. Okay, so going back to the question of is India intolerant? So when it comes to 2014, I think you could have gotten away with answering no, India is not intolerant then. In any way that you're talking of. Even then, like, people were intolerant, right?
Hmm.
But the the laws of India and the policies did not reflect that. So it did not show that the people of India were becoming intolerant. So, but now you see that. Like, in laws, you see a clear intolerance, or in laws that are in policies that are being suggested, you see that discrimination and that intolerance that we're talking about today. So, are you aware of any of these policies?
No, not really.
Not even one?
Well, isn't there restrictions on apparently eating beef in some states?
Yeah, but I think there's a bigger one you should know about that you're forgetting.
Oh, the I don't know.
It was in 2019.
This the
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember what the
It's
abbreviation
a bit of
was.
alphabets. Okay,
Yeah.
do you not remember the letters?
No, I don't remember the abbreviation.
The full. It's fine if you don't remember the full form, but just the letters.
No.
It
The
was
NRC?
CAA and NRC.
NRC,
Yeah.
yeah.
So those were
Don't both of them mean the same thing though?
no.
Oh,
They're two different things.
okay.
Well, that's a whole other thing to get into, but that's not what we're talking about. But I think that was a clear indication of India's India becoming. But also, what was kind of hopeful when we saw that was when people were marching against CAA and RC, it wasn't just one religion. It wasn't just people of one religion. It was people of all religions that realized that India was changing.
And not for the better.
Yeah, and we didn't want that to happen. So you see that kind of chain, that kind of everyone coming together for the same thing, and that's what India is. And that's what we want India to be. But when we have prejudice and when we have intolerance in ourselves, then we can't expect others to not have it.
Hmm.
So today, like, we're talking about intolerance, and later in a few minutes we'll be talking about how you can move towards being more tolerant. Okay, before that, another thing that I want to talk about is intolerance in India during the pandemic, during COVID-19. So that's around March, April 2020.
Hmm.
So, do you think that you're seeing more intolerance during the pandemic?
Well, obviously, I haven't been to India recently, or like at all during the whole
Pandemic?
pandemic, but
No,
Um,
but just in the news and what you hear from people, do you think there's intolerance? You can say no or yes, like it doesn't matter.
but no, not really.
Right? Even I don't think there has been any visible intolerance when it comes to like distribution
Mm.
of resources, vaccines. We see a lot of hope of people of different religions helping each other. Like I think the news recently covered like a group of Sikhs building like an area where like COVID patients could come who are being rejected from hospitals for not having enough beds and oxygen tanks, where they were helping other people.
Mm.
So that was really nice to see, like a religious group of religious people coming together because of their religion, but to help everybody.
Mm.
That's very hopeful.
That's
Like I think that's
admirable.
yeah, and that's the way religion should be
Yeah.
used.
Mm.
Like you should be able to call on to your friends and say, okay, let's help everyone.
Mm.
And you know them just because of their religion.
Mm.
So another topic that we have is white obsession, which is different compared to what we've talked about in tolerance so far, but it's very, very interesting. Like, um, you can tell by the name, right?
Mm.
White obsession. So, what do you think? Okay, this is also comes down to like how big India is and how different everybody in India is. So, do you think most Indians, what skin color do most Indians have?
I think in the shades of brown, right?
But which shade of brown?
I don't know, the lighter shades.
The lighter shades or the darker shades?
The lighter shades?
I think it would be the darker shades.
No, but I think that's mainly because a lot of Indians work in the sun and the sun's very harsh.
So,
So it like darkens their skin.
yeah, that means they have dark skin.
No, that's not dark skin. They just got tanned. They weren't born with it.
But that still means they have dark skin.
No, but it's just tan. It's a desirable effect on some people, but like it's not what they were born with.
But like a place skin color is according to like the what's the word for it? The environmental factors.
Yeah.
So obviously sunnier places are bound to have darker people, and less sunnier places will have paler people.
Yeah, but then if a person with white skin was to get tanned while working outside, wouldn't you say that, oh, that person was originally white skinned? But
No, but they wouldn't drastically become that dark. I don't think the change is that drastic that you would change. Like, you'd be like, no, this person was fair before, but now they're dark.
but Indians work until they're like 80 something.
Yeah, so, but okay, so if this person was confined to like a dark space, do you think that they would become fair again?
No.
Exactly, so that would mean that they're dark skinned.
Okay, fine.
I would think that they're dark. I think most people, I agree with you that most people in India are brown.
Yeah, they're just brown.
We're just brown.
Let's
But-
just say they're within the shades of brown.
Yeah, but it's so weird that us being okay, there's this very interesting thing one of my friends once told me, which was that India is like a color map. So you would mostly see, like, even though you can see like fair people like everywhere in India and dark skinned people everywhere in India, you would say that most people who live in the north are like fairer skinned and lighter skinned, lighter browns, and people in the south are like darker skinned.
Again, because of environmental factors.
Yes, exactly. Environmental factors like play a big role in skin color. So, but why is it that Indians are obsessed with white skin? Why do we want white skin so badly? I think
It's a good question.
I think having white skin and a lot of like why we're talking about skin color is because people can be intolerant towards people with darker skin in India. And it's nothing to do with race, which is the most surprising part. Because, like, all around the world, when you hear people being discriminated for the color of their skin, it's usually because they are a different race and they have different ancestry. Okay? And that's, while it's not justifiable in any shape or form, you can understand that they think that they're people from two different places. But for Indians, we're all believe we're all Indian, and then we continue to discriminate
Yeah.
each other because of our skin color. And you constantly put down people who have darker skin. But why? Why is
Maybe
white or why is fair considered to be better?
maybe they think because like people from West are like more superior or something.
But you'll never find an Indian openly admitting to that.
Yeah, you'll never find them openly admitting to that, but that's before even like the fact that like me being raised in an Indian family, even I had thoughts of me wanting white skin. Like it was pretty common for me to think I want lighter skin.
It's really funny because I've never thought I wanted white skin.
Yeah, well, aren't you noble?
Not that's nothing to do with nobility, but I think I would assume that even you wouldn't want white skin.
Yeah.
Do you want white skin now?
No, I don't. Like I don't care anymore. Like it
No,
doesn't matter
But what made you want white skin?
because everyone said it was like white
Beautiful.
skinned people are look better.
Yeah. And it's not like they openly say that, oh, people with white skin are better, even though some people do say
Openly
that.
say that, but
But when they're placed with like two people of, okay, let's say average beauty,
yeah,
and one has white skin and one has brown skin, they're gonna say the white skinned
Skin one
person
looks better.
is more beautiful, whatever that means.
Well,
So, and these, okay, so I agree with you that it's a Western driven thing. I think we're obsessed with Europeans and Americans.
yeah, I feel like it's like something that goes back to before the Constitution.
Oh, you mean during the British rule?
During the British rule, and like the fact that the British ruled over the Indians.
Okay, so you're saying that, okay, the British were white, they ruled over Indians who were, some of them were dark skinned, so they want white skin so that they can feel more superior. So they think white skin is more superior.
Maybe. Yes, I feel like that seems a very reasonable conclusion I've come to.
But it's so stupid. Like
It
it's
is.
like the race or the people that oppressed you, you consider that to be more beautiful than the race that freed you.
Yeah,
And that's so sad.
it is. But even I feel like it's about like, yeah,
I think it's very Euro-driven, Eurocentric,
yeah,
Euro-driven obsession. And you see these like, you see this come up once you get older. Like when you, okay, actually when you're younger as well. Like, I mean, I've heard like they'll look at people's ears and see if they're dark to see like what the skin color of the baby will be.
What?
And like they'll put like some lotions and stuff on a baby just so that they can have fairer skin. I don't understand why we can't why we don't understand that genetics plays a big role.
Yeah.
Like,
What do the ears have to do with skin color?
I have no idea. It's just one of those myths
Well,
and old wives' tales and traditions that people follow. So I think now would be a good time to go into how we can fight intolerance and how can we be more tolerant. How do you think we can be more tolerant, Sana?
I feel like since me, like even though I'm an Indian, I would personally say that I'm not intolerant towards like I'm not racist, nor am I like religiously.
Okay, but like most racist and intolerant people don't really know that they're racist or intolerant. They claim to be like very tolerant.
Do you think I'm intolerant?
No, but like what makes you think you are really tolerant? That's a big question because I think I think we waste our time in pointing fingers at each other. Like, oh, that person should work on their tolerance and that person should be more accepting and stuff like that. If we all look to ourselves and we try to fix that and in the people around us, like our family and our friends, then we would be more productive than pointing fingers at each other.
I feel like it even depends on like what sort of environment you were raised in. Because I was raised in an environment where I was surrounded by all skin colors, all languages, um, all all religions. But like in India, where like you're raised in an environment surrounded only by a certain ethnicity of people, like you're not as accepting towards strangers or like like different ideas or different opinions.
I think Indian people are accepting towards someone who looks different. Like, I don't think they discriminate much.
Mm.
Maybe in some places, but I don't think I've ever seen someone being treated unfairly because of where they were
What do
from.
you define as kindness? Like, as long as you like, if you're going to, if someone's going to take you somewhere, obviously you're going to pay them. So, like, if I'm going to pay a cab driver to like take me somewhere, he would take me there.
No, but imagine if the cab driver doesn't stop for you because you look different. That's called not being kind. That's
But then, like, sorry, like, I don't mean to say this in a bad way, but like, foreigners have more money.
no, that's also a big misconception.
No, I feel like that's a big misconception among the cab drivers.
Well, that foreigners
They
have
have more money.
so they're gonna charge foreigners more. No, that's just the way they earn, okay? And that's like how honest they are at their work. That's nothing to do with the race. Like, they're just gonna be like, oh, you come from somewhere else, you must have more money, let me charge you more.
Yeah.
That's different. But they're not gonna do that. Like, even if a white person showed up and a black person showed up, they'd still charge them high.
Yeah, but they would like, I don't know. I feel like they'd be kinder to the white people.
That's true though. That's interesting. So Indians are racist also. Some of them. I think that's
I would like to remind viewers not to take offense at these
Yeah.
words.
I think like one thing that we want to establish that from what all we've talked today is that when we say Indians or when we say Muslims or when we say Hindus or when we say any one thing, it's very like nobody means all of those people.
Yeah. We're just like,
Like we're
defining.
Indians, like we'll say like Indians are racist and then we're Indians as well.
Yeah, like,
So we don't mean that every single Indians are racist. We're just talking about like a particular group that might be like that. So, and like in a society, there will always be intolerant people.
yeah.
Like there's not going to be a society where everyone is tolerant of each other.
Like, if there is a society which is completely tolerant, it is perfect.
yeah, like that would be like
There is no
the
such thing
epitome
as perfect.
of a society.
Yeah,
Like
there's
it's
no
the
such
highest
thing.
of the high. So I think, but like tolerance has creates such potential in a society. Like the more tolerant you become, you can stop focusing on smaller issues in the society and go towards fixing the bigger problems. Like if we stopped looking at a caste of a person or the religion of a person, we could do so much for education. We could do so much
For
for
poverty.
yeah, and child marriage. There's so many things in India that we could talk about and we could fix if we started to look past this and past our differences. Like we talk about them and we agree that we have differences, but then it's good to move on and focus on bigger things that could actually be productive and good for our country.
It would also help you to keep your mouth in check.
Yeah, that's something I added in like on a piece of paper, and Sun is just reading it out now. But I think that's important because we expect other people to not say bad things, and sometimes we'll say bad things.
I did that a lot with you.
As a sister, yes.
Yes. Like I would say, Leena, don't do this, but
Yeah, it's equivalent to you saying, Leena, don't call me stupid, and then calling me like stupid 5 seconds later. So it's like, like, stop being a hypocrite. So instead of telling someone else to not say something, like check for yourself. Like, you know, if you're tolerant and if you say good things, there's bound to be people around you who learn from you, who see how accepting of a person you are and are like, I want to be like that. Because I've come across nice people and I think, oh, to myself, like, oh, I want to be like that. That's a small way that you can be, inspiring towards another person without even knowing it.
it's good to take that small steps.
So any closing words?
Not really.
I think I want to say, like, this is our first podcast, so we might have been all over the place.
I agree.
But I hope you enjoyed our conversation, which was mostly me just ranting.
I didn't talk much.
Why?
No, like, what should I do? Agree with you? I agreed with what you said, but like, should I just keep saying agreed? Yes, I agree.
No,
yes.
but if you have more points, you're free to add,
Yeah, I think you got all the points down.
Yeah, but this is a topic that can be talked about for like hours and hours, and we didn't want to make this like pointing fingers at anyone.
Yeah.
Like, it's not to say that, this group of people is the problem, or this group of people is the problem, or we're all a problem. It's just that, like, we need conversation.
Yeah. Like,
We-
it's good to communicate. Like,
Yes.
you should communicate and like understand.
Exactly. So I think communication is key. With whatever problem that you're having, just communicate. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, with that, we're signing off. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope we make more episodes. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.